It's 6:47 p.m. on a Wednesday evening in suburban Phoenix, Arizona. A woman pushes her shopping cart through the refrigerated aisle at Walmart. She has been at work since 7 a.m. Traffic was heavy. The kids need dinner in less than an hour. Her hand reaches for a familiar package in the prepared meals section. Market-side grilled chicken Alfredo with fettuccine. The label shows tender chicken, creamy sauce, and perfectly cooked pasta. Ready in 4 minutes. No chopping, no dishes, no stress. She places it in her cart alongside milk, bread, and fruit snacks. This is not her first time buying this product. It has become part of her weekly routine. Quick, convenient, and affordable at $7.98 for a family-sized portion. Across town, another shopper at Kroger picks up Home Chef Heat and eat chicken fettuccine Alfredo. Different brand, different packaging, same promise. Dinner in minutes. In Portland, Oregon, someone at Trader Joe's grabs the Cajun-style blackened chicken breast fettuccine Alfredo. These scenes play out millions of times every week across the United States. The prepared food aisle has become one of the fastest-growing sections in American grocery stores. Sales in this category reached $15.8 billion in 2025, according to industry data from the Food Marketing Institute. It represents a shift in how Americans eat: less time cooking, more reliance on convenience. For many families, these refrigerated meals have replaced the frozen dinner aisle entirely. They feel fresher. They look homemade. They seem healthier. But on February 12, 2026, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention closed a months-long investigation into these exact products. What they found revealed something most consumers never consider when they reach for that convenient package. This is not about fear. It is about understanding what actually happened and what it means for anyone who shops in the prepared food aisle. The outbreak strain was identified through whole genome sequencing, which allowed investigators to connect cases that occurred months apart and hundreds of miles from each other. The timeline looked like this. October 2025, first cases began appearing, but were initially unconnected. Individual patients reported flu-like symptoms, fever, muscle aches. Some developed more serious complications, confusion, loss of balance, convulsions. November 2025, epidemiologists noticed a pattern. Multiple cases shared a common characteristic. Patients had recently consumed refrigerated pasta meals purchased from major grocery chains. December 2025, the FDA began traceback investigations. Product samples from patients' homes were tested. Listeria was detected in unopened packages of Walmart market-side grilled chicken Alfredo. January 2026, the investigation widened. Kroger's Home Chef brand and Trader Joe's Cajun-style Alfredo were added to the recall. All three products, despite different branding, shared a common supplier link. February 2026, the CDC closed the investigation after confirming the source and ensuring contaminated products were removed from commerce. But here's where the story gets more complex. These weren't three separate outbreaks. They were one outbreak distributed through products that appeared to be completely different. Walmart's product came in 32.8 ounces and 12.3 ounces packages. Kroger's came in 12.5 ounces portions. Trader Joe's version had a different flavor profile and regional distribution. To the average consumer, these looked like distinct products from competing brands. In reality, all three products were assembled by the same company, FreshRealm, a third-party meal preparation facility. FreshRealm sources ingredients from multiple suppliers, assembles the meals according to each retailer's specifications, and ships the finished products to distribution centers. The contamination was traced further back to Nate's Fine Foods, provided cooked fettuccine to Fresh Real. Environmental samples from Nate's production facility tested positive for the outbreak strain of Listeria. This is how modern food production works. A single ingredient supplier can feed into products sold under multiple brand names across multiple retailers. When consumers see Walmart MarketSide and Kroger Home Chef, they assume separate production lines, separate quality controls, separate supply chains. But in many cases, the products share the same manufacturing facility and the same ingredient sources. The only difference is the label and the retailer's branding specifications. This isn't unusual. It's standard practice across much of the food industry. Store brands often come from the same facilities that produce name-brand products. The issue isn't the practice itself. It's that most consumers don't realize how interconnected the supply chain actually is. From a food safety perspective, this interconnectedness creates specific challenges. When contamination occurs at the ingredient level, it can spread across multiple products simultaneously. By the time the source is identified, those products may already be in thousands of refrigerators across the country. Listeria monocytogenes is particularly challenging. It survives cold temperatures. Most bacteria stop growing below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Listeria can multiply slowly, even at 35 degrees Fahrenheit. It forms biofilms in food production facilities. Listeria can attach to surfaces and create protective layers that resist standard cleaning protocols. It has a long incubation period. Symptoms can appear anywhere from 3 days to 70 days after consumption, making it difficult to identify the source quickly. It's especially dangerous for certain populations. Pregnant women, adults over 65, and people with weakened immune systems face severe complications, including meningitis, septicemia, and pregnancy loss. The FDA's investigation revealed that proper reheating would have eliminated the risk. Heating the meals to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 15 seconds kills listeria. But the microwave instructions on many packages simply said heat until warm or microwave for 3 to 4 minutes, without specifying a target temperature. Consumer testing showed that many people heated these meals to between 120 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to be comfortable to eat, but well below the temperature needed for food safety. This isn't about blaming consumers. Package instructions should be clear. Food safety shouldn't require a thermometer and specialized knowledge, but in the current system, that gap exists. Following the outbreak, all 3 retailers updated their labeling. New packages include explicit instructions: heat to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Use a food thermometer to verify temperature. Some added warnings specifically about listeria risk for vulnerable populations. But here's an important question that often doesn't get asked. If these products are ready to eat, why do they require such specific heating protocols? And why wasn't that information clearer from the beginning? The answer touches on regulatory definitions, industry standards, and consumer expectations. RTE products are defined by the USDA as foods that are edible without additional preparation to achieve food safety. But edible and safe for all populations aren't always the same thing. For most healthy adults, exposure to low levels of listeria might cause mild gastric discomfort or no symptoms at all. For pregnant women or immunocompromised individuals, the same exposure can be life-threatening. The labeling reflected the former assumption. The outbreak revealed the gap. But here's something that surprises many consumers. Why can listeria grow in a refrigerator when most other bacteria can't? The answer lies in biology. Most bacteria that cause foodborne illness, Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, require warmer temperatures to multiply. They thrive between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, the range food safety experts call the danger zone. Refrigeration below 40 degrees Fahrenheit stops their growth. That's why refrigerators exist, to slow or stop bacterial multiplication and preserve food longer. Listeria monocytogenes is different. It's psychrotrophic, meaning it can grow at cold temperatures. It multiplies slowly at refrigerator temperatures, much slower than at room temperature. But it doesn't stop. This is why foods that sit in refrigerators for extended periods can harbor listeria even when storage seems appropriate. A package of prepared pasta might be produced on Monday, shipped on Tuesday, delivered to a store on Wednesday, purchased on Friday, and consumed the following Tuesday. That's 10 days of potential slow bacterial growth at refrigerated temperatures. If contamination occurred during production and the product sat in a refrigerator for a week and a half, listeria levels could increase significantly, even though the consumer followed standard food storage practices. This is one reason why use-by dates matter more for refrigerated prepared foods than for frozen items. Freezing stops bacterial growth entirely. Refrigeration only slows it. And here's the other detail most people miss. Listeria doesn't change the taste, smell, or appearance of food. Unlike spoilage bacteria that make food smell rotten or look discolored, listeria can be present at dangerous levels while the product looks and smells completely normal. That's why this outbreak was particularly concerning. Consumers had no way to tell from visual inspection whether a product was safe. The meals looked fine, they smelled fine, and for most people, they probably would have caused no symptoms. But for the 28 individuals who became severely ill, and especially for the 7 who died, the invisible contamination had devastating consequences. So what changed after the outbreak? And what options do consumers have now? Following the outbreak, several retailers and manufacturers updated their protocols. Walmart implemented enhanced testing requirements for all third-party prepared meal suppliers. Products now undergo more frequent listeria testing during production, and random samples from distribution centers are tested before reaching stores. The company also revised labeling across its market-side prepared meal line to include explicit reheating instructions, and Kroger introduced similar measures for its Home Chef brand and added a QR code to packaging that links to a food safety video demonstrating proper reheating techniques. The video specifically addresses temperature verification and explains why 165 degrees Fahrenheit matters. Trader Joe's voluntarily pulled its entire line of refrigerated pasta meals and reformulated the products with additional safety barriers, including modified atmosphere packaging that further inhibits listeria growth. The company also reduced shelf life recommendations from 14 days to 7 days. Fresh Realm, the assembly facility, upgraded its environmental monitoring systems and increased testing frequency at ingredient receiving points. The company now requires all ingredient suppliers to provide third-party testing documentation before shipments are accepted. Nate's Fine Foods, the pasta supplier identified as the contamination source, temporarily shut down production, conducted a full facility deep clean, and implemented new sanitation protocols. The company has since resumed limited production under enhanced FDA oversight. These responses represent the industry's attempt to address systemic gaps revealed by the outbreak, but individual consumers still face choices about what to buy and how to prepare it. For those who rely on prepared meals for time or accessibility reasons, here are some alternatives that carry different risk profiles. Frozen prepared meals. Products like Stouffer's, Lean Cuisine, or Amy's Kitchen are fully cooked and then frozen. Freezing stops bacterial growth completely. Reheating from frozen to 165 degrees Fahrenheit eliminates any potential pathogens. The trade-off is texture. Frozen meals often don't taste as fresh as refrigerated options, but the food safety margin is significantly higher. Shelf-stable meals. Brands like Hormel Completes or Campbell's Homestyle use retort processing, which heats sealed pouches to temperatures that sterilize the contents. These meals require no refrigeration and have extremely low bacterial risk. They're less popular because consumers often perceive them as lower quality, but from a safety standpoint, they're highly reliable. Fresh, deli-prepared meals. Some grocery stores prepare meals daily in on-site kitchens. These products are made, sold, and consumed within 24 to 48 hours. While they still require proper refrigeration and reheating, the shortened timeline reduces listeria multiplication risk. The key is purchasing these items on the day they're made and consuming them quickly. Meal kit services. Companies like HelloFresh or Blue Apron send raw ingredients that consumers cook at home. This shifts food safety responsibility to the consumer, but it also means the cooking process reaches temperatures that kill bacteria. Home-cooked batch meals, preparing pasta, chicken, and sauce at home on Sunday, then portioning and refrigerating for the week, gives consumers full control over ingredients and temperature. Reheating to 165 degrees Fahrenheit is straightforward when you know exactly what's in the container. The time investment is higher, but so is the safety certainty. None of these alternatives are perfect. Each involves trade-offs between convenience, cost, taste, and time. The point isn't to say refrigerated prepared meals are inherently unsafe. Millions of these products are consumed every week without incident. But the 2026 outbreak revealed that the margin of safety is narrower than many consumers realized, especially for vulnerable populations. It also highlighted the importance of understanding what ready-to-eat actually means. These products are technically ready to eat in the sense that they're already cooked, but they're not necessarily safe to eat without additional steps. Specifically, reheating to temperatures high enough to kill any bacteria that may have developed during refrigerated storage. That distinction matters. And it's a distinction that labeling doesn't always make clear. For those who continue purchasing refrigerated prepared meals, there are specific steps that reduce risk. Use a food thermometer. This is the single most effective tool for ensuring food safety. Digital instant treat thermometers cost between $10 and $25 and take 3 seconds to verify that food has reached 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Insert the probe into the thickest part of the meal, away from the edges, which heat faster. If the temperature reads below 165 degrees Fahrenheit, continue heating in 30-second intervals until it reaches the target. Don't rely on time alone. Microwave wattage varies. Package instructions might say heat for 4 minutes, but that's based on a standard 1000-watt microwave. Lower wattage microwaves take longer to reach safe temperatures. A thermometer removes the guesswork. Pay attention to use-by dates. Unlike best-by dates, which indicate peak quality, use-by dates on refrigerated prepared meals relate to food safety. Listeria growth accelerates as products approach the end of their shelf life. Purchasing these items well before the use-by date and consuming them quickly reduces exposure time. Check for package integrity. Tears, punctures, or bloating can indicate contamination. If a package looks damaged or the seal is broken, don't purchase it. If you notice damage after purchase, return it. Refrigerate immediately. Don't leave prepared meals in a warm car or on the counter. Listeria grows slowly at refrigerator temperatures, but it multiplies rapidly between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep these products cold from purchase to consumption. Observe storage guidelines. Even if a product hasn't reached its use-by date, don't keep opened refrigerated meals for more than 3 to 4 days. Once a package is opened, contamination risk increases. Know your risk factors. Pregnant women, adults over 65, and anyone with a compromised immune system should be especially cautious. The CDC specifically recommends that these groups avoid refrigerated prepared meals unless they're reheated to steaming hot. Look for updated labels. Products reformulated after the outbreak now include clearer reheating instructions. If a package still just says heat until warm, consider choosing a different product or using a thermometer regardless. These aren't burdensome steps. They're simple protocols that close the gap between industry standards and consumer practice. Food safety shouldn't require detective work. Ideally, labels would be clear, products would be uniformly safe, and consumers wouldn't need specialized knowledge. But until those standards are universally implemented, individual awareness makes a difference. It's also worth noting what consumers shouldn't do: panic. The 28 cases from this outbreak represent a tiny fraction of the millions of refrigerated prepared meals consumed during the same period. Most people who ate these products experienced no illness at all. The goal isn't to avoid all risk. That's impossible in any food system. The goal is to understand the risks that do exist and make informed decisions based on individual circumstances. For someone who's young, healthy, and not pregnant, the risk from a properly refrigerated prepared meal is minimal. For someone in a high-risk category, the calculation is different, and alternatives might be worth considering. Knowledge allows choice, and choice is what consumer empowerment actually means. Food safety in the United States operates on a principle called HACCP, Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points. It's a systematic approach where food producers identify potential hazards, determine which points in production are critical for safety, and implement controls at those points. When it works, HACCP prevents contamination before it reaches consumers. The 2026 Listeria outbreak showed what happens when a control point fails. Nate's Fine Foods had procedures in place. Fresh Realm had inspection protocols. Retailers had quality standards. But somewhere in the chain, Listeria entered the production stream and wasn't caught until people became ill. The system responded. Products were recalled. Facilities were cleaned. Protocols were updated. The outbreak ended. But for the 7 families who lost loved ones, and for the woman who lost a pregnancy, the response came too late. Those outcomes can't be reversed by improved labeling or enhanced testing. This is why food safety matters. Not as an abstract regulatory concept, but as something with real human consequences. The prepared food aisle isn't going away. Consumer demand for convenience continues to grow. The food industry will keep innovating to meet that demand, and most of the time, the products that result are safe, affordable, and useful for busy Americans. But convenience and safety aren't always aligned. Sometimes they create tension, and when that tension isn't addressed transparently, consumers end up making decisions without full information. This video doesn't tell anyone what to buy or what to avoid. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is to provide context. What happened in 2026, why it happened, what changed as a result, and what consumers can do with that information. Because here's the reality. Most people walking through the prepared food aisle don't know about supply chains. They don't know about Listeria's cold temperature survival. They don't know that 3 different brands might come from the same facility. And they don't know that ready to eat doesn't always mean safe to eat as ease. They're not expected to know those things. That information isn't readily available on packaging. It's not taught in schools. It's not part of public health campaigns. It exists in FDA reports, CDC outbreak investigations, and industry trade publications that most consumers never see. But it matters. And making it accessible, calmly, accurately, without exaggeration, is how informed choice becomes possible. Food Label Insight USA exists for that purpose, not to create fear, not to push agendas, just to surface information that's technically public but practically hidden, and presented in a way that's useful. The prepared food aisle is still there. The products are still convenient. For many people, they'll remain a regular purchase. But now, if someone reaches for that chicken Alfredo, they might check the use-by date a little more carefully. They might make sure their thermometer is nearby. They might choose a frozen alternative if they're in a high-risk category. Or they might purchase the same product they always have, but reheat it to 165 degrees Fahrenheit instead of just warm enough. Small shifts, informed decisions. That's what this is about. Not panic, not avoidance, just knowledge. And knowledge, ultimately, is what separates trust from assumption.